This is a Sea-Doo jet ski. It doesn't want to start. It has a huge problem. There is no engine. Just like any other Sea-Doo, it blew up. And I'm going to be turning this into the most reliable Sea-Doo jet ski known to man. And that involves a grinder, a custom bracket, and a Suzuki outboard motor. This all started when I was trying to figure out how to build a cheap boat. And honestly, I had no idea where to begin. Then my friend reached out. I told him I was looking for a project and needed some ideas. That's when he mentioned he had an old jet ski hull just sitting around. He said if I could turn it into something cool, I could have it for free. After assessing this hull, it looks like it's going to be the perfect candidate to do something crazy with it and make some sort of cool boat. But the first thing we have to do is get rid of all this unnecessary stuff. The seat. Like the gauge cluster, the side panels, the hatch, and anything else that isn't essential to the final form of this transformation. Well, too bad Sea-Doo doesn't build their jet skis like their steering cables, because this one's really strong. Since I don't think we're going to be needing such a big gas tank, we should take it out. Even though the jet ski looks way worse than when we started, I came up with a super detailed drawing and plan of what we're going to do to make this thing completely awesome. Here's the plan. Now it's time to suit up, because transforming this jet ski into a boat means cutting a ton of fiberglass. So much so that I'll be itching for months, almost like I hugged a porcupine made of fiber optic glass. But here's the good part. After struggling with a Sawzall blade, I found the best tool is actually an angle grinder fitted with a diamond cutting blade. Usually used for tile cutting, it works great for this application. Something that made a big difference was repositioning the area I was cutting in so I could work with the wind instead of against it. That way the fiberglass dust wasn't blowing straight into my face. I also used water while cutting, which really helped keep the dust down. And honestly, the whole process ended up being way faster and easier than I expected with those tweaks. I'm going to leave this here just in case I need any fiberglass material to patch some holes later. Even though the jet ski was free, the trailer was not, and I had to swap it to give it back to my friend who gave me the hull in the first place. I also gave him back everything I removed from the jet ski so he can resell it on his eBay store, because if there's anyone who can turn just about anything to money, it's my friend. Now let's clear out some of the unnecessary pipes, hoses, and clamps, as well as brackets that we won't be needing for this project. Now we're going to take the rubber mats out of the ski, because I think I finally figured out what I want to do with this floor. Now, after a lot of hard research and time spent designing, I think we're going to cut the floor right here. So we're going to mark it and cut all of this out and to install the new subfloor that'll make this thing a true skiff. Finally, after doing all that cutting, we can give the ski a good wash to hopefully get all that itchy fiberglass off. So the next thing we have to do is remove this old ride plate, because we're not going to need it anymore. Wow, that's some strong stuff. They certainly glued this thing on pretty good. Before we continue with this crazy build, we need something that makes it move. So I started looking for a motor. plus a few parts like a bilge pump and a mounting plate. I finally found a good deal, but one of the suppliers sent me a sketchy payment link. And I don't trust random payment links because that's how you end up with spam or your personal info getting out there. That's where today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN, comes in. Thanks to them, they quickly alerted me that this invoice could be a scam. The main reason I use Surfshark is because it hides my IP address and keeps my data private. Whether I'm hunting for deals, pay invoices, or just browsing, I don't have to worry about my data. Speaking of deals, I just found one on a Suzuki outboard. While I check out this engine, here are the top 3 reasons why I choose Surfshark VPN. First, it's affordable and high value. You get premium protection without paying a ton of money. Second, it can help you find better deals. By changing your location, you can sometimes see different prices on flights or parts. And third, it protects your personal info, less tracking, less spam, safer browsing. While I load up the motors, head over to surfshark.com/RobsDeal. Or use the code ROBSDEAL at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. A key benefit of Surfshark VPN is it protects anyone in your household and all of their devices. And if you're not happy, they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Now let's see if I got a great deal on both of these engines. One of them I plan to keep for this project and the other one I want to sell. I only paid $1,600. And the reason why I got them so cheap was because the previous owner was moving and needed them gone, so he let them go for super cheap. Look at that. Nice. Well, I think this engine sounds great and we scored a great deal, so we're pretty much ready to go. Let's go back to the jet ski boat build. When I said the glue that holds the ride plate was strong, I really meant it. That stuff was incredibly strong. I couldn't believe how well it bonded to the plastic and aluminum of the fiberglass body. Now we gotta patch the holes in the hull, and the easiest way to do that is use some of the old fiberglass that we have with a hole saw to make a custom patch that we can put in with some resin and patch the hole. To finalize the shape, we have to grind it a little bit because when I made the measurement to cut it, it wasn't exactly perfect. After a little bit of time and work, we got all the patches necessary for all the holes in the hull. I also modified this hole where the coolant used to come through, so now it's somewhat square, so we can patch this hole way easier. After grinding down the fiberglass and preparing the area for patching, the next step is to pick up the necessary supplies and materials at my favorite local home improvement store. Now we gotta patch these giant holes. So I'm gonna put some tape on the outside and get to work. Now you can see we finished taping all the holes up, so we're ready to patch. Now I'm no expert on fiberglass repair, but to do this as accurately as possible, we're gonna use a scale to measure the actual amount of resin versus hardener that we need to use. Now we're gonna tear the cup, and according to this jug of resin, it says that we need to add 10 drops of hardener to 1 ounce of resin, which should be pretty simple. And I think the best idea actually is to pour it off of the scale so I don't fill the scale completely with resin. We have 2.25 ounces, so I'm just gonna call it 2 ounces. And according to the instructions on the can, it says we need about 20 drops. So let me make sure I put 20 drops and not this whole thing, because if I did that, it would probably start on fire. 9, 10, and 20. All right, well, hopefully that is enough. Now we gotta work fast because this is gonna start hardening as we speak. So we're gonna gently mix all of that up. And it's always a good idea to read your instructions to make sure you're doing the correct mix because, like I said, if you put too much hardener in this epoxy resin, you might start a fire. Since I'm not really experienced working with fiberglass, I mixed up a small batch of epoxy resin. so we can see if the hardener to epoxy ratio is actually correct, and hopefully it will harden. We're going to lift the jet ski so I can put fiberglass resin in the holes on the side of the hull. Since it likes to run out, I'm going to flip it on its side, which I think should be the easiest way to do it. We're going to prepare 6 ounces of epoxy resin to patch the holes on the side of the jet ski. Thanks. This is why you have to work really fast, because if you don't, this is what happens. I don't think that the resin is supposed to look like grape jelly. So it's always a good idea to work with a small batch, because if you work with a large batch, you're going to have some problems. And you're probably not going to finish what you wanted to do and waste all that resin. We're going to let this epoxy cure for a little bit of time, and once I feel that it's hard enough, we're going to flip the ski on its other side to continue the process. This time we're going to mix 5 ounces of epoxy resin. At this point, I was really starting to get a hang of it and learning how to correctly apply the resin and fiberglass mat to patch the holes. We gotta wait for the other side to dry, but first we have to go back to the home improvement store. I have one more hole to cover, and to make it easy, I found this cheap rubber pipe plug that we can use to cover this right here, which I think will work perfectly. Nice. Look at that. And it actually leaves the option, if I would like to make this an inboard in the future, we might be able to do that. Although all the holes don't look perfect, we finally finished patching all the holes necessary for this thing to actually float in the water. The next step was measuring some wood blocks so we could mount the new jack plate to the back of the jet ski. Since it was never designed for an outboard motor, this jack plate should allow for an easy installation of one. We started by taking some 2x10 pressure treated lumber and marking where to cut the excess off. We then took the cut piece of 2x10 board, drilled holes in it for the extensions to set the jack plate farther back from the hull, and also drilled holes in the jack plate itself before fitting everything to the jet ski once all the cuts were complete. We kicked off by cutting 3/4 inch pressure treated plywood for the subfloor, knowing it was not only cost effective but also the perfect choice for giving a strong, reliable floor for this project. Determined to finish in a timely manner, I called some friends to jump in and help out, because with a team effort, I was confident we'd get it done. Once they arrived, everything felt more efficient. Tasks that had dragged on alone began moving faster. We split the work, shared ideas, and before long, what was once a daunting task was moving along at a great pace. We finally installed the front deck, and it even comes with ergonomic acupuncture screws to help massage your feet. Like a little piece right here. Yeah. We cut several plywood panels to finish off the rear deck, carefully measuring and trimming each piece to ensure a clean, flush fit with the existing structure. Once everything was in place, we secured the panels and marked out and cut access holes to allow proper clearance and routing for the engine's rigging, including cables, fuel lines, and electrical connections. Since I definitely don't want to sink, my friend screwed down a little backing plate to mount a bilge pump. And since we want to do a quality job, I'm going to even router out all the edges to make them nice and round. At this point, we attach the rear jack plate for hopefully the last time, putting a little sealant on the bolts to keep us afloat. We added a couple trim panels to help us finish the floor. I even saved money on this project by getting the screws out of old pieces of wood that people threw away in the bulk trash. We're finally done with all the woodwork and I think it looks amazing. Now it's time for the carpet. Since I never throw anything away, I reused this carpet from a project like 10 years ago that I did with a van. $10 million staples later, it was starting to look like an actual floor that belonged in a boat. Now it's time to add some carpet. After a lot of consideration, I decided to cover the swim platform of the jet ski boat with EVA foam. To make this build really stand out, we finished off by adding a thin layer of finishing wood, similar to what you would use for a door skin, to create a smooth, flat surface. On top of that, we installed EVA marine foam flooring, giving it a clean look and plenty of grip underfoot when you're trying to cast a rod. Why would I go to the store to buy drain plugs when I can print them at home? Let's see if these plugs actually fit. And oh, they grabbed. And this plug that I printed for probably like 5 cents saved me a whole $10. And of course, I got it done today, so I didn't have to drive super far and get them. And to really finish off this project and to also get access to the bottom of the boat, because actually there is none right now, I bought this nice hatch. It only cost me 30 bucks. At this point, right as I was putting the jet ski in the water, I started to get a little worried that all that hard work might be for nothing, since I wasn't entirely sure that this contraption, built in less than 3 days, was actually going to work. As the engine fired up and the hull settled in the water, all that doubt started to fade away. What began as a rough idea just a few days ago was now cruising across the water under its own power. Every cut, every measurement, every late night in the build, it all paid off. Watching it glide across the surface, smooth, stable, and exactly how I imagined, made it clear this thing actually works, and it works pretty well. From a pile of parts to a fully functional jet ski boat, this build turned out better than I could have hoped, and honestly, it's just the beginning. I definitely have some future plans for this build, and if you would like to see those, leave me a comment down below what you think I should do with it next. And of course, thanks for watching Rob's Garages.
A boat.
Yes.
It was a Sea-Doo.
I hate skis. Good call. I mean, I don't hate them, but yeah, that's tits. I love it.
It needs a couple little tweaks, but it works pretty good.
I'm sorry?
It needs just a little more modifications, and it'll be perfect.